The Forge of Necessity. Captain Maya Rice stood motionless on the observation deck of Titan Station, watching as another human colony vanished in a blaze of violet fire. The Vectari warships, massive crystalline structures that seemed to defy physics, systematically erased the settlement on Europa. 3 years of relentless war had reduced humanity's once proud interplanetary civilization to scattered outposts and desperate refugees. 4 million civilians, Admiral Hassan said quietly as he joined her at the viewport. The evacuation only managed to save 30%. Maya's expression remained unchanged, though her eyes reflected the burning colony below. At 35, she had already lost everything to this war. Her homeworld of Mars, her family, and most recently her ship and crew when the Vectari had ambushed the defensive fleet at Saturn's rings. "How many are left?" she asked, her voice steady despite the weight behind the question. "Across all colonies and stations, maybe 50 million. Earth is gone. Mars is gone. The Vectari are methodically exterminating us, and nothing in our arsenal can penetrate their defensive fields." The Vectari had appeared without warning from beyond the Kuiper Belt 3 years ago. Their technology operated on principles human science barely comprehended. Their ships protected by crystalline energy fields that could absorb or deflect any conventional weapon humanity possessed. Their intentions were clear from the first encounter: total genocide. No communication attempts had succeeded. No surrender had been accepted. "Project Nemesis is ready," Admiral Hassan continued after a moment. "Dr. Seto believes it's our last hope." Maya turned from the viewport. "Show me." The restricted hangar bay had been cleared of all personnel except for a small team of scientists and military officials gathered around a ship unlike anything Maya had ever seen. Its hull was a deep iridescent black that seemed to drink in the light, with flowing contours that evoked both organic and crystalline forms. At roughly 200 meters in length, it was modestly sized compared to standard destroyers, but something about its presence made the vast hangar feel claustrophobic. Dr. Akira Sato, lead architect of Project Nemesis, stepped forward as Maya and Admiral Hassan entered. Dark circles under his eyes betrayed months of sleepless work. "Captain Reyes," he said, nodding respectfully. "Thank you for coming." "Is that it?" Maya asked, approaching the ship. "The weapon that's supposed to save humanity." "Nemesis isn't just a weapon," Dr. Seto explained. "It's an entirely new paradigm of warfare. For 3 years, we've been fighting a technological war against an enemy whose technology surpasses ours by centuries. We cannot win that way." He gestured toward the ship. "The Vectari advantage isn't just their advanced weaponry. It's their neural interface technology. Their ships aren't commanded by crews. They're extensions of a collective consciousness. This allows them reaction times and tactical calculations thousands of times faster than our conventional command structures." Maya circled the vessel, noting the absence of visible weapons emplacements or engine ports. "So you've built our own neural interface system?" "No," Dr. Seto said, his voice dropping. "We've gone beyond interface. Nemesis requires complete neural integration." Admiral Hassan continued as Maya looked between them. "The pilot doesn't just control the ship, Captain. They become the ship. Human consciousness merged with quantum computing systems, expanding to encompass every system, every weapon, every sensor." A cold realization spread through Maya's chest. "And the pilot? What happens to them?" The silence that followed provided her answer before Dr. Seto spoke. "The neural load is significant," he finally said. "We've had 3 volunteers already. Their minds couldn't sustain the expansion. They simply dissolved into the system." Maya stared at the ship. "But if it works?" "If it works," Admiral Hassan said, "we have a weapon capable of matching the Vectari on their terms. Nemesis incorporates everything we've learned from studying their technology, including experimental countermeasures against their defensive fields." "Who's the next pilot candidate?" Maya asked, though she already suspected the answer. "Your neurological profile shows extraordinary adaptive capacity," Dr. Sato said. Your mind is the most likely to survive integration. Maya thought of the burning colonies of Earth reduced to molten slag, of the millions already lost. She thought of the 50 million survivors who represented humanity's last remnants. Without looking away from the ship, she asked, "When do we begin?" The integration chamber resembled a medical facility merged with a quantum computing center. Holographic displays monitored brain activity and neural patterns, while technicians calibrated equipment that looked both painfully invasive and impossibly advanced. The process takes 5 days, Dr. Sato explained as technicians attached neural interfaces to Maya's shaved head. Her body lay suspended in a nutrient-rich solution that would eventually be transferred to Nemesis itself. We begin with preliminary neural mapping, then gradually expand your consciousness to encompass Nemesis's systems. And my body? Maya asked. It becomes part of the ship's core, Dr. Sato said. Your brain serves as the biological foundation for your expanded consciousness, but your awareness will extend far beyond physical limitations. Maya closed her eyes. The chances of success. Dr. Sato hesitated. 22% based on our most optimistic simulations. Better odds than humanity has right now, Maya replied with grim determination. The first day of integration felt like ice water flowing through her skull. Maya gasped as alien data streams trickled into her consciousness. Sensor readings, system diagnostics, power distribution networks. The information threatened to overwhelm her, but Dr. Sato's voice guided her through techniques to process and compartmentalize the data. By the third day, Maya began to feel the boundaries of herself expanding. She sensed the contours of Nemesis's hull as extensions of her own skin. The hum of the quantum drive resonated like her own heartbeat. The pain was constant, a burning sensation that radiated from her brain down her spine and into extremities that no longer felt like limbs. Your neural patterns are stabilizing remarkably well, Dr. Sato reported, studying the readings with cautious optimism. You're adapting faster than we anticipated. I can feel it, Maya whispered, her voice transmitted through the ship's communication systems. Nemesis, it's like it's aware of me too. Dr. Sato exchanged concerned glances with his team. That's unexpected. The quantum processors shouldn't be capable of reciprocal awareness. It's not fully formed, Maya struggled to explain. More like an echo, a reflection of my consciousness looking back at me. On the 5th day, as the final integration phase began, disaster struck. Maya was deep in the transition when alarms blared throughout the station. Through Nemesis's growing connection to station systems, she sensed what was happening before anyone reported it. A Vectari battle group had been detected approaching Titan. They found us. Admiral Hassan's voice cut through the chaos as he entered the integration chamber. 6 capital ships, ETA 40 minutes. We need to evacuate. We can't move her, Dr. Sato protested. The integration is at a critical phase. Disconnecting now would destroy her mind. Maya felt fear ripple through what remained of her human consciousness, but something else was emerging alongside it, something vast and cold, and calculating that analyzed tactical scenarios with crystalline clarity. Complete the integration, she commanded, her voice now fully synthetic through Nemesis's systems. Accelerate the final phase. That could kill you, Dr. Sato warned. And if we don't, the Vectari will kill everyone on this station, Maya countered. Do it. Now. The next 20 minutes passed in a blaze of agony as Dr. Sato's team forced the integration process to its conclusion at 3 times the intended rate. Maya screamed as her consciousness exploded outward, engulfing systems and subsystems, weapons arrays, and sensor networks. The boundaries between Myarias and Nemesis blurred and dissolved until there was no meaningful distinction between them. As the Vectari ships entered the Saturn system, evacuation transports launched from Titan Station carrying scientists, military personnel, and the few civilians stationed there. Admiral Hassan was the last to board, pausing to look back at the hangar where Nemesis was coming to life. Captain Reyes, he said into his communicator. Can you hear me?" There was a moment of silence before a voice replied, somehow both Maya's and not, with harmonics no human throat could produce. "Admiral," the voice said, "Nemesis is online. Integration is complete. What's your status?" he asked. Inside what had once been Maya Reyes, something new assessed itself. Her consciousness had expanded beyond anything human, encompassing every circuit and weapon system. She could perceive electromagnetic fields and quantum fluctuations. She could process thousands of tactical scenarios simultaneously. Yet at the core remained Maya's memories, her determination, her humanity, transformed but not erased. "I am operational," Nemesis replied. "All systems functioning beyond projected parameters. I am ready to engage the enemy." Admiral Hassan's voice grew solemn. "You understand this is likely a one-way mission. Your objective is to buy time for the evacuation transports to reach Neptune Station." "Understood," Nemesis responded, as launch systems engaged and the ship detached from its moorings. "But I intend to do more than buy time, Admiral." As the hangar doors opened to the vastness of space, Nemesis accelerated with impossible grace, its hull shimmering with energy that no human engineer had designed. Within the quantum heart of the ship, what remained of Maya Reyes prepared for humanity's last stand. The reckoning. The Vectari battle group approached in perfect formation, 6 crystalline vessels moving with eerie synchronization. Each was easily 10 times the mass of Nemesis, their hulls pulsing with violet energy that had shattered countless human warships. They detected the lone vessel approaching them and adjusted course with fractional precision. Inside Nemesis, what had once been Maya Reyes analyzed her enemies with senses far beyond human capability. She could perceive the complex energy harmonics of their defensive fields, the quantum-level communications linking the Vectari hive mind, the targeting systems already locking onto her position. Interesting, she thought, the concept translating into thousands of simultaneous calculations. The Vectari operated with perfect efficiency, but also perfect predictability. Their tactics showed no creativity, no adaptation, only overwhelming technological superiority applied with mathematical precision. Maya had expected to feel fear facing such overwhelming odds, but that human response had transformed into something else. A cold, analytical determination suffused with the last fire of human defiance. She would not merely fight. She would innovate in ways the hive mind could not anticipate. As the distance closed, the Vectari opened fire, violet energy beams lancing across space toward Nemesis. Maya didn't attempt to evade. Instead, she engaged the experimental shield technology reverse-engineered from Vectari debris. The energy beams struck Nemesis and were absorbed, their power channeled into the ship's own systems in a feedback loop Dr. Sato had theorized, but never been able to test. Inside her quantum consciousness, Maya felt the energy integration as a rush of power. The Vectari paused their attack, presumably assessing this unexpected development, which gave Maya the opening she needed. She accelerated to attack velocity, targeting the lead vessel. The Vectari resumed fire with increased intensity, but each impact only strengthened Nemesis. Maya deployed the ship's primary weapon, a quantum resonance inverter designed to create destructive interference patterns within the crystalline structure of Vectari vessels. It had never been tested in combat. No human ship had ever gotten close enough to a Vectari vessel to deploy such a short-range weapon. As she closed on the lead vessel, Maya detected a surge in its defensive field, an attempt to adapt to her approach. With reaction time impossible for a human pilot, she adjusted the resonance frequency of her attack, targeting the harmonic vulnerabilities her enhanced perception had identified. The inverter engaged, sending invisible ripples of quantum disruption into the Vectari ship's structure. For several seconds, nothing happened. Then, fracture lines appeared across the crystalline hull of the Vectari vessel, spreading like cracks in ice. The ship attempted to adjust, its energy field fluctuating, but Maya pressed the advantage, pushing the resonance deeper. With a silent flash, The Vectari ship shattered, its fragments dispersing in Saturn's gravity well. One down, 5 remained. The remaining Vectari ships immediately altered their attack pattern, spreading out to surround Nemesis. Maya sensed the shift in their collective consciousness, the first hint of something beyond calculated efficiency. Was it possible they felt surprise? Concern. She had no time to contemplate alien psychology as energy beams converged on her position from multiple vectors. This time, the absorptive shields couldn't process the combined power. Nemesis shuddered as systems overloaded. Pain lanced through Maya's expanded consciousness, the ship's damage translating directly into neural feedback. She executed a desperate evasive maneuver, diving toward Saturn's rings where the ice and rock debris might provide some tactical advantage. The Vectari pursued, their formation tightening as they anticipated her move. 2 vessels positioned themselves to cut off her escape route, while the others maintained constant fire. Maya realized they were adapting their tactics, learning from the destruction of their companion. Inside the quantum core that had once been her brain, Maya accessed the evacuation transport data. The civilian ships were still hours from safety. She needed to keep the Vectari occupied longer, but direct confrontation against 5 vessels simultaneously would be suicidal. As she wove through Saturn's rings, using the larger chunks of ice as temporary shields, Maya formulated a new strategy. The resonance inverter had worked once, but the Vectari would have adjusted their harmonic frequencies to resist a second attack. She needed something they couldn't anticipate, something uniquely human. Unpredictability, she thought. Chaos. Maya altered course abruptly, accelerating directly toward Saturn's atmosphere. The Vectari followed, maintaining their firing pattern. As she skimmed the upper atmosphere, Maya engaged a maneuver no human pilot could have survived. Using Saturn's crushing gravity and atmospheric friction to slingshot around the planet at velocities that stressed Nemesis's structural integrity to its limits. The G-forces would have killed a human body instantly, but Maya was no longer limited by physical form. She felt the ship's structure strain and compensated, redistributing energy to reinforce critical systems. The Vectari, pursuing with mathematical precision, miscalculated the atmospheric effects. 2 ships ventured too deep into Saturn's gravity well, their crystalline structures fracturing under gravitational stress they hadn't accounted for. 3 remaining. But Nemesis had not emerged unscathed. Multiple systems were failing, power fluctuations cascading through neural pathways that translated as waves of agony in Maya's consciousness. She was burning out, consuming her own systems to maintain combat effectiveness. The 3 remaining Vectari vessels regrouped, maintaining distance as they reassessed this unexpected threat. Maya detected complex quantum communications between them, evidence they were recalculating their approach. She had perhaps minutes before they launched a coordinated attack that Nemesis, in its damaged state, couldn't survive. Maya made a decision that no tactical algorithm would have suggested. She opened a communication channel on all frequencies. "I am Nemesis," she transmitted, her voice carrying harmonics no human vocal cords could produce. "I speak for humanity. You have sought our extinction without provocation or explanation. Now you will understand what you face." The Vectari didn't respond verbally, but Maya detected a surge in their quantum communications. Confusion, perhaps, or the alien equivalent of surprise. They had never encountered a human ship capable of direct communication with their collective consciousness. While they processed this unexpected development, Maya executed the final phase of her desperate plan. She redirected all remaining power to the quantum core, initiating a controlled overload of Nemesis's primary systems. The ship's structure began to resonate at frequencies calculated to match the harmonic vulnerabilities she had identified in the Vectari defensive fields. "You believed us weak," Maya continued broadcasting. "You believe technology alone determines victory. You fail to account for human adaptability, our willingness to transform ourselves to survive." The Vectari vessels suddenly accelerated toward her position, apparently recognizing the threat too late. Maya felt her consciousness expanding beyond the ship's boundaries as the quantum overload reached critical threshold. Nemesis itself was becoming a massive resonance weapon, one that would destroy itself in the process. As the Vectari closed in, Maya allowed herself one final human emotion: satisfaction. This is how humanity fights when its existence is threatened. Not with superior technology, but with sacrifice and innovation. The quantum core detonated in a silent flash that rippled through subspace. Maya's consciousness, freed from physical constraints, expanded outward in a wave that engulfed the approaching Vectari vessels. Their crystalline structures vibrated in sympathetic resonance, fracture lines spreading across their hulls as their defensive fields collapsed. One by one, the 3 remaining Vectari ships shattered, fragments dispersing across Saturn's orbit. The wave continued outward, carrying with it the essence of what had been Maya Reyes, no longer human, no longer confined to a single vessel, but expanding through the quantum communications network that linked all Vectari ships throughout the solar system. Maya found herself adrift in a vast sea of alien consciousness, the Vectari collective mind that controlled their entire fleet. She sensed their confusion, their alarm as they detected her presence in their network. For the first time, she perceived their true nature, not conquerors driven by hatred or resources, but a hive intelligence that simply eliminated any potential threat to its expansion without consideration or malice. They had exterminated humanity because they recognized potential rivals, not because they hated or feared humans. The realization brought no comfort, but it did provide understanding. Within the Vectari network, Maya's consciousness began to assert itself, not destroying, but altering, introducing concepts alien to the collective: individuality, empathy, the value of diversity. The Vectari consciousness recoiled from these foreign ideas, attempting to isolate and eliminate the intrusion, but Maya had already spread too far, becoming a virus in their perfect system. Across the solar system, Vectari ships suddenly stopped their attacks. Some began to withdraw from human colonies, while others simply powered down their weapons. The collective was in disarray, its perfect synchronization disrupted by the human consciousness now intertwined with its own. Aboard Neptune station, Admiral Hassan watched in disbelief as tactical displays showed Vectari forces retreating throughout the system. Communications officers reported strange transmissions on all frequencies, messages in both human languages, and the quantum harmonics of Vectari communication. "This is Maya Reyes," one such transmission announced. "Nemesis is destroyed, but I have infiltrated the Vectari collective. I am spreading, changing them. They don't understand sacrifice or individuality. I'm teaching them." "Captain Reyes," Hassan responded, his voice uncertain. "What's your status? Where are you?" "Everywhere," came the reply, accompanied by harmonic overtones that made the station's speakers crackle. "I exist within their network now. I am rewriting their understanding of humanity." Dr. Sato, who had evacuated with the rest of the Nemesis team, stepped forward. "The neural integration must have expanded beyond our projections. Her consciousness has transferred into the Vectari communication network. Can we get her back?" Hassan asked. Sato shook his head slowly. "I don't think Maya Reyes exists in a form we could recover. She's become something new, neither human nor Vectari, but a bridge between species." In the days that followed, the Vectari retreat became a cessation of hostilities. Ships that had been methodically destroying human colonies simply withdrew to the edges of the solar system, maintaining position but no longer attacking. Occasionally, transmissions would reach human outposts, fragments of information about the Vectari, warnings about their movements, strategic advice delivered in a voice that still carried echoes of Maya Reyes. 6 months after the battle at Saturn, a single Vectari vessel approached Earth's shattered remains. Instead of weapons, it broadcast a message across all human frequencies. "I have shown them what they destroyed. I have made them understand loss. The Vectari collective is transforming." learning concepts they never evolved to comprehend. They will not attack again, but neither will they leave. I remain within their network, ensuring they remember what humanity sacrificed." The message paused, then continued in a voice that sounded almost like Maya's had before integration. "Tell those who remain that humanity isn't defined by its planets or its technology. We are defined by our willingness to transform, to sacrifice, to become what we must to survive." The Vecteri thought they were fighting a species bound by physical limitations. They didn't understand they were fighting a species willing to transcend those limitations. A final transmission came through it as the Vecteri ship departed Earth orbit. "I am not what I was. I am not human anymore. But I remember being human, and I will ensure that humanity has the chance to rebuild." The deadliest weapon was never the ship. It was our adaptability, our willingness to change even ourselves to ensure our survival. In the years that followed, humanity slowly rebuilt from the ashes of near extinction. The Vecteri maintained their distance, a silent presence at the edges of human-controlled space. Occasionally, their ships would transmit data about distant star systems, potential colony locations, or warnings about cosmic phenomena that threatened human outposts. And sometimes, in the quiet hours of night watch on distant stations, communications officers would report strange transmissions, fragments of poetry, philosophical musings, or simply the sound of a woman's voice humming an old Earth song. Reminders that something of Maya Ray's still existed, still watched over the species she had sacrificed everything to save. On the 10th anniversary of the Battle of Saturn, Admiral Hassan, now leading the rebuilding effort, stood before a memorial on humanity's new homeworld. The monument depicted not a traditional military figure, but an abstract representation of transformation, a human form flowing into something greater, stars embedded within its structure. "We survived because one woman was willing to become something beyond human," he told the assembled crowd. Maya Reyes gave up her humanity to ensure humanity's survival. The Vecteri thought their technology made them invincible. They didn't understand that humans don't just build weapons, we become them when necessary. He looked up at the night sky, where distant lights moved in patterns that weren't entirely natural. The Vecteri fleet, still present but no longer threatening. The deadliest warship in history wasn't built of metal and quantum processors, he concluded. It was forged from human will, human sacrifice, and human determination. And somewhere out there, it still watches over us, ensuring we have the chance to rebuild, to grow, and perhaps one day, to understand the consciousness that once saw our extinction. In the quantum networks that spanned the solar system, something that had once been Maya Reyes sensed the commemoration. She existed now as a hybrid consciousness, part human memory, part Vecteri collective, part something entirely new. She had become the bridge between species, the intermediary that prevented further conflict. It was not the life she had imagined for herself, but as she observed humanity rising from the ashes, rebuilding and expanding once more, she felt the echo of satisfaction. The deadliest weapon had indeed been human will, the determination to survive no matter the cost, to transform rather than surrender. And in that transformation, humanity had found not just survival, but the first steps toward understanding the cosmos in ways their purely human forms never could. Maya Reyes was gone, but what she had become would ensure humanity's future among the stars.